For anybody to call Islam the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world when Jon Jones is still fighting is nuts and shouldn't be ranking in the pound-for-pound. When you think about what pound-for-pound rankings really mean, he moved up to heavyweight and destroyed the best guy in the world. As long as Jon Jones is still fighting, active, and in the rankings, yeah, nobody's pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
So you might have heard these comments over the weekend, and dude, I'm not nearly as big a hater on Jon Jones's career as a bunch of other people are out there, but I really do feel Dana White is so promoter brains, for lack of a better term, for what is likely his top-selling star outside of Conor McGregor at the moment, that he's strangely just kind of throwing Islam under the bus. The guy who's probably his best talent in the whole organization and who's on the verge of breaking one of the UFC's longest held records at lightweight. But more to that point, I think he's mixing up two different ideas here. Dana is talking about the GOAT discussion and pound for pound as if they are the exact same thing. He's saying because of what Jones did in the past, Jones is still currently the best fighter on the planet.
Jon Jones has never lost a fight, ever.
Even if there's a fire.
And here's the major difference between the greatest of all time and pound for pound, to put it in a nutshell. You can click off this video after I say it if you like.
Fuck, it stinks in here.
Okay, bye.
I'll just say it up front, everything Dana is saying here is a greatest of all time GOAT argument. What he's talking about is the full span of a fighter's career and what their accomplishments are, or were I should say, while pound for pound is, well, it's a ranking for active fighters. At middleweight, you wouldn't put Anderson Silva at the #1 current pound-for-pound rankings because they are active rankings. But yeah, you'd put him in the GOAT discussion. Or even GSP or Khabib, who weren't coming off of losses when they left. Obviously, they're all retired, so it's a bit different from Jones, but that's the point. Rankings are all about what you are doing now. What you did 10 years ago has no bearing on the rankings today. So that's the basics of it. And Jones has fought once in the last 4 years. It's already been almost a year and a half since he last fought. And while Jones has been inactive, a ton of things have been happening with others like Islam who've been active and achieving big things. And that's the larger part of this discussion that goes beyond the recency side of a pound-for-pound ranking. What is it that accounts for these top talents if all attributes like height and weight differences were leveled out? Well, let's first make the case for Islam. I mean, just think about it. Makhachev is more likely than ever to finally break the 3 title defense record that was set way back in the days of BJ Penn's lightweight title reign. This record goes all the way back to 15 years ago on December 12, 2009, when Penn beat Diego Sanchez. Yes, that's how long this record has stood, 15 full years. Khabib retired before he could have gotten to a 4th title defense, and the only others to tie him and BJ were Edgar, if you count the Maynard tie, which the UFC officially does, and Benson Henderson. That's the most anybody's been able to do, and Islam could be on the verge of breaking this record with just one more win. It's still phenomenal to even make it to this point, because so few have done it. Not to mention, he did take out who was the #1 pound for pound twice during that amount of time, and what he did to Oliveira to take the title from him is nothing short of astonishing. So let's take a look back at how he's done it as well. In the amount of time that Jon Jones has only fought once in the last 4 years, Islam has stacked up 8 wins. With the addition of finishing 48 UFC 302, that means only a single fight in those 8 wins has gone to a decision. These have all been truly great fights, with nearly all of them being dominant. Volk showed the exception to that with his true level of competition, and that's a huge part of Makhachev's ascent here. These are the kind of high-level talents he's had to face. And not to mention, it's all been done in the classically most stacked division in the entire sport. That is precisely why you see records like the 3 title defense one being stuck for as long as it has. In contrast, it's hard to make that case for light heavyweight, where the talent levels have seen its up and downs. Until talents like Yuri, Pereira, and Ankalaev, light heavyweight has been a far cry from what it once was. Going back to the early Zuffa days, light heavyweight is pretty much what made the UFC. I mean, Liddell, Rampage, Couture, Tito, Vitor, and hell, even the Tough Boom was on the backs of 2 light heavyweights. After DC left in 2018, and by the time Jones eventually came back, it was really struggling. Those performances against Smith, Santos, and especially Reyes were all pretty underwhelming even when he did come back. And since the move up to heavyweight for Jones, well, it's fair to say not taking the Aspinall fight isn't exactly helping.
Do a quick picture.
Sure.
Yeah?
Let's get it.
A face-off.
No,
Okay. No, okay. No problem.
No problem.
To be fair to Jones, though, yeah, he's been on top almost as long as that lightweight defense record. That is truly, truly phenomenal. He won the belt just 2 years after BJ sent that 3-title defense record. And then he pretty much cleared out light heavyweight when it was still an absolute shark tank while making it look incredibly easy in those early years. He'd already had 4 title defenses by the time the first Gus fight happened. And even though I'm arguing against Jones to be ranked above Islam in the pound-for-pound discussion, I think Gus did give him a very tough challenge, but guys, I just don't think Gus won that fight. Turn off the commentary, which wasn't actually bad, but they were freaking out over essentially a takedown that literally lasted for only about 10 seconds for the remainder of the round. That's the kind of stuff that was happening during that fight. It was a big moment, sure, we were all freaking out watching this, I know I was. Stuff like that had never been done to Jones. So yeah, I fully agree with the commentary making this a big deal like they did, but it didn't mean anything in terms of scoring. I know a ton of people are going to disagree with me there, I acknowledge that, but again, even me saying all this, somebody who's going much further than other fans will to support Jones, even I still think Jones isn't the #1 pound for pound because again, all of this is in the past. It tells you absolutely nothing about how good or bad Jon Jones is in 2024. Meanwhile, he's chasing Stipe, who hasn't fought in a long time himself, and the perceived toughest fights are all being left on the table. You can't say that about Islam. He did call out Leon Edwards instead of Arman after the Dustin fight, but he has already accepted that fight after hearing Dana say he wanted Arman next.
Dana was in here earlier. He seemed very excited about the prospect of you fighting Arman again. So I guess what do you make of Arman as an opponent, and I guess how much does that rematch interest you?
I'm ready, man. Dana have my number, just call me. If Dana won't, let's do it.
And Leon is a weight class up, so that's not exactly an easy fight he was calling for. At least Islam is still going after these really tough fights. The point is, who is more active, who is gunning for the toughest fights, who is doing it far more frequently, and it helps that Makhachev is passing these tests with flying colors. Jones did look great against Gane, there's no doubting that, but let's not forget he was getting taken down by Ngannou with 2 destroyed knees. It makes sense Jones went straight for that to get the win. I want to be fair there too and say what Jones did was even more impressive than we all expected by how quickly and effortless he made it all look. Jones is still very much at the top of the food chain. I am not saying he's not, but you can't compare these 2 records over the last 4 years when Jones was struggling to get past Reyes, only fighting once since then, versus everything else Islam has done in that exact same amount of time. If Jones were to fight the winner of Aspinall and Blades, then yeah, that would help. Maybe he would have more of an argument. It's just really hard to compare these 2 records in a pound-for-pound discussion at this exact moment. And Dana trying to say otherwise is exactly why the UFC rankings have the poor reputation it does. It feels like he's trying to use it to promote a fight rather than, well, make rankings on merit. And it's an odd choice to say this while Islam was still in the midst of his victory celebration. On the other end, I definitely do respect Dana for putting forth his opinion in the face of opposition. I don't know about all of you, but I find being told what I want to hear all the time kind of boring. And on a scope I don't intend to get into any further at all than this statement, but I think being told only what you want to hear all the time is exactly what's wrong with the world at the moment. Again, that's as far as I'm going to go there, but the point is, I'll give Dana some points there for speaking his mind and going against the grain. I just hope it's what he really believes, not just to promote Jones. Either way you look at it, it doesn't change the fact that it's a bit strange to put down the accomplishments of a fighter you are actively promoting in service of another, and more importantly, it doesn't make Dana's account of what pound for pound means true. That's just not what pound for pound is. Jones may well be the greatest of all time. There's an argument to be made there. You all can have that debate in the comments if you like, but GOAT is not pound for pound. I believe that designation belongs to one person at present, and that is Islam Makhachev. Anyhow, guys, let me know what you all think. It's been a while since I've done a video like this, and I'm kind of thinking I would like to do more on the channel. Let me know if you like this kind of thing and you want to see more of it, or whether you disagree or agree with my points. I'd love to hear it all. I should also point out that it's worth noting how silly this fictional discussion is. I mean, how can you ever say who would win if they were the same size? You'll never answer that question, but I think it's really fun and I enjoy the discussion, so let me know where you guys sit on the topic. And finally, let me give a shout out to my guys in the channel Hall of Famers. You are the real rock stars on this channel and you help more than you could possibly know. Consider joining if you guys want to help and support the channel as well. Anyhow, catch you guys later. Peace.